keep hearing from people.
I want to tell you my secret now. I see dead people.
Like dead serious, they look at me and they say, is he okay?
He's not.
People on the inside say he keeps getting worse, mentally keeps getting worse. This is a man in decline.
The lack of intellectual ability is stunning.
He keeps getting worse. This is a man in decline.
The unwritten rule in the psychiatric community that nobody diagnoses from afar
keeps getting worse. This is a man in decline.
I just don't think he's a well guy, period.
The behavior pattern that he is demonstrating right now
keeps getting worse. This is a man in decline.
You know, I kind of just want to dispense with political correctness for a bit and just say what everyone is thinking.
The unwritten rule in the psychiatric community that nobody diagnoses from afar.
This behavior is crazy.
Keeps getting worse. This is a man in decline.
The unwritten rule in the psychiatric community that nobody diagnoses from afar.
So unbalanced. He is not well.
The unwritten rule in the psychiatric community. Unwritten rule in the psychiatric community that nobody diagnoses from afar.
He's just not well.
Unwritten rule in the psychiatric community that nobody diagnoses from afar.
He has literally devolved to the point where there is concern about his health.
Keeps getting worse. This is a man in decline.
His ability to take in information and use it correctly. It's like a child.
Are you concerned about the president's health?
The unwritten rule in the psychiatric community that nobody diagnoses from afar.
I think his family should be concerned about his health.
Keeps getting worse. This is a man in decline.
And I don't know how
The unwritten rule in the psychiatric community
how we withstand an unhinged presidency.
that nobody diagnoses from afar.
I'm seriously worried about a person who would do this on a number of levels.
The unwritten rule in the psychiatric community that nobody diagnoses from afar.
Because he's not well and he's not attached to reality.
He's got his fingers on the button,
That was just-
and he's tweeting about Hillary. It's time for Article 25.
Amendment 20. This
Amendment
25th
20.
Amendment.
25th Amendment. Let's do it. This looks like
The unwritten rule in the psychiatric community that nobody diagnoses from afar.
the steps leading up to a total meltdown.
The unwritten rule in the psychiatric community that nobody diagnoses from afar.
Because this is not funny. This is really bad. Just for the record, we're all really nervous.
I have been sucking my thumb for 27 years. I only suck my thumb when I'm like tired or hungry or mad or sad.
What a dirty, filthy mind you got.
The unwritten rule in the psychiatric community that nobody diagnoses from afar.
Keeps getting worse. This is a man in decline.
I keep hearing from people.
I see dead people.
Like dead serious, they look at me and they say, is he okay? You have no idea what your words mean. And I can't pretend, sort of try and cover this fairly, put it in the veil of objectivity. You have no idea what your words mean and what you're doing to this country. He's trying to undermine the media, trying to make up his own facts. And it could be that he could have undermined the messaging so much that he can actually control exactly what people think. And that is our job.
Who gets attacked and doesn't push back. There have been an outrageous number of personal attacks, not just to him, but to, frankly, everyone around him. This is a president who fights fire with fire, certainly will not be allowed to be bullied by liberal media and the liberal elites within the media or Hollywood or anywhere else. What's necessary is to push back against attacks on the president. I've seen far worse things come out of that show, again, directed not just at the president, but everyone around him. Personal attacks, mean, hateful attacks. And again, this president isn't going to sit back and not push back, and he's going to fight fire with fire. And the president, again, isn't going to be somebody who's bullied and allows people, himself and those around him, to be personally attacked. Outrageous attacks that take place on that show day in, day out, not just at the president and not against his policies, not against things that he's pushing, but they're personal and they're not just directed at him, but again, everyone around him.
I think the heartland elected Donald Trump. I think there's a common sense out here that people don't get when they're in the city. They have blinders on. If we wreck Middle America, if we wreck agriculture, it will filter through the whole economy and eventually the coasts will feel it. When I was a kid, we had 4 implement dealers, 3 or 4 car dealers. Don't got nothing like that.
Gary Steele works the same hay farm where he was born. He says the market for hay has dried up. Same for corn. Steele's putting his hope in Trump.
So far, so good. He's pissed everybody off. That's a good sign.
From the Nightside Radio Studios,
This is the J.J. McCartney Show.
Are you better off than you were 4 years ago?
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
coming to you from Nebraska by way of Alaska. Here's J.J. McCartney.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Marcus, and welcome, everybody. Fantastic to have you with us today. We're going to jump right into things. We have some limited time. Our guest today is author Dr. Herb London. He is the author of the book, and by the way, it's a great book, about the failure of the Obama foreign policy. It's called Leading from Behind, and we'll talk more with Dr. Herb Cotton in just one moment. Stick around. It's going to be a great show today, a Friday extravaganza. Dr. Herb London coming up next. All right, thanks for joining us. And Dr. Herb London, we do appreciate you taking some of your valuable time and spending it with us today. Greetings. Welcome to the J.J. McCartney Show.
Well, a pleasure to be with you, J.J. I hope that things are going well for you and certainly for this holiday season.
Absolutely, and likewise to you and yours. Now, I want to talk about the missile testing going on with Rocket Man, Kim Jong-un in North Korea. This has really gotten beyond serious now. This is now something that if we don't deal with it in a very strong fashion, then I think a lot of people are worried that this could mean that the Korean Peninsula is going to become the front and center in World War III.
Well, first of all, I don't want to be cavalier about the use of the word war. Obviously, those are words you want to avoid if at all possible.
Yes.
But there is no doubt about the threat, and the threat is very real. The intelligence community used to argue that the capabilities of the North Koreans would not reach the present stage until 2025. It's one of the reasons why Mr. Trump's predecessors kicked the can down the road. I hate that metaphor. But they kicked the can down the road because they had the luxury of doing so. We do not have that luxury any longer.
No.
There is no doubt there's no can and there's no road. It's all with a very different position with an ICBM based on the most recent tests that could reach the east coast of the United States.
Yeah.
That means Washington, New York, Philadelphia are all vulnerable.
The entire landscape of the United States is now vulnerable.
That's right. So it changes the correlation of forces. When the president addressed this matter to the Senate very recently, he said, look, this is not a partisan issue anymore. It has nothing to do with Democrats and Republicans. This has something to do with the national security of the United States. We've got to do something. Now, what that something is remains to be seen. The military option cannot be taken off the table, but it's very complicated because for 30 years, the North Koreans have been building tunnels underground. Almost all of the recent tests have occurred with mobile launchers. Those mobile launchers move across various areas. They're not easy to identify. You send in your Tomahawks, it's not clear where the target will be. That's number one. Number two, we've got to put more pressure on the Chinese. There's no doubt that the Chinese have leverage we do not have. That leverage is critical. The Chinese could say tomorrow, you know what, there is no oil for North Korea. If there is no oil, there's no electricity. If there's no electricity, there aren't any computers. If there aren't computers, there is no ICBM that's being launched across the Pacific Ocean. So I think it's important to understand that even though the Chinese have said that they want to be cooperative, there's an awful lot more they can do. And then third, all transactions, all transactions in Asia are conducted in dollar-denominated funds.
Yes.
We can freeze every transaction. Those dollars are our dollars. We control the financial world. If, in fact, the president wants to move in that direction, and it's a very, very difficult step forward, but if, in fact, he felt obliged to do so, he could put enormous pressure on the Chinese. Now, of course, they could respond accordingly. They may not be so happy. But at the same time, we are dealing with a situation that is potentially disastrous for the United States and for our allies in Asia. So there are things that have to be done. And then last, I would say, it is very important that the Japanese start to understand they need a deterrent.
Yes.
Article 9 in the Japanese Constitution prevents them from having nuclear weapons. However, they have to start thinking seriously about having a deterrent of their own.
Yes.
And modify their constitution. The reason why I say that is if a missile is sent from Pyongyang to Fukuoka, it takes about 12 minutes. What can you say in 12 minutes?
Exactly.
The missiles are coming.
Exactly.
There's nothing the Japanese can do.
Right. We're speaking with Dr. Herb London. He is the author of the book Leading from Behind, the Obama Doctrine and the U.S. Retreat from International Affairs. If you want to find out where you can get the book, just go to jjmccartney.com, click on today's blog post. We've got the link right there. Now, Dr. London, what was your reaction when you heard a general from Central Command explaining to the media the other day why they would reject an illegal order from Donald Trump to launch a nuclear strike on North Korea? How does that make you feel about the state of affairs between, the commander-in-chief and the generals beneath him?
Well, first of all, that was one statement by a general I consider an outlier. Again,
right.
You're not getting this from Secretary Mattis. You're not getting this from Central Command. I think there's a temptation to exaggerate very irresponsible claims that are being made.
Yes, I
agree
completely.
The President of the United States has authority over these matters. And again, the press kind of jumps on this sort of thing because they have the anti-Trump bias to begin with.
Right.
My feeling about it is these are dangerous times.
Yes.
And as a consequence, I think you've got to be responsible in the way you handle comments of that kind.
Exactly.
People are entitled to make those comments.
It
but
requires a lot of
responsibility in the press. Yeah.
It requires a lot of statesmanship.
Exactly, statesmanship on the part of those people in the Fourth Estate. Understand they have a responsibility to the American public to filter these things in a manner that makes it clear we're not ready to panic. World War III is not going to occur. We're going to do everything in our power to prevent that from happening.
Right.
And the President of the United States understands that full well.
Yes.
Even though I don't always agree with President Trump, I think he does get it.
Now, I want to ask you one more question, understanding we got limited time. One of the developments with the ballistic or the ICBM that was launched the other day was that South Korea fired a missile into North Korea. What can you tell us about that?
Well, again, I don't know very much about what transpired in that particular instance. I don't think it was a missile as much as a drone really designed for surveillance purposes. I think the South Koreans are very eager to see what are the capabilities, what is the level of preparation in North Korea. The South Koreans are not about to engage in activities that might be described as a casus belli. They don't want war. They want to avoid it if at all possible.
Right.
Keep in mind, there are, you got 27, 28 million people in South Korea. You're not going to put those lives at risk. You got 28,000 American troops there as a tripwire. You don't want to put them at risk. So I think that nations are obliged to act cautiously to the degree possible.
Right.
Kim Jong-un is an erratic personality. He does not act cautiously. But I don't think he's completely insane. I think he understands from his father and from his grandfather, there's an extortion act you engage in.
Yes.
You engage in these testing, and then the West responds. Again, the West has not responded. Trump has not responded. I think Trump has acted appropriately. But again, he's looking for something.
Well, Kim Jong-un,
what he will get.
He's been testing the whole world for the exact reason you're saying. And the thing that I have not seen a whole lot of is I haven't seen anybody from the world testing him. What kind of test, what kind of pressures other than the economic pressures can be brought to bear on North Korea? Could we make the threat?
Well, there are.
I mean, how do we make a threat that holds any water, that has any teeth?
Well, first, the economic pressures are significant.
Yes.
I mean, there's $5 billion of North Korean assets outside the country that we can freeze in 5 minutes if we want to do so. So don't overlook the enormous pressure of economic concerns. But the other is, of course, if you had a CIA with teeth, we could play a role in trying to undermine the existing government. Now, again, this is always tricky. It's very, very difficult. But regime change would mean that you would have a very different group of people in power. Would they be better than Kim Jong-un? I don't know, but they certainly can't be worse.
Certainly, that I think is a valid observation, and certainly our CIA has had a lot of practice undermining governments. Unfortunately, our own has been one of them. But Dr. Herb London, it's a pleasure to speak with you. I know you're very, very busy and pressed for time. We appreciate you coming on the show.
I'm terribly sorry. I'd like to spend more time with you.
Well,
and maybe on the next occasion we'll do so.
You got it. Thank you, Dr. Herb London. And the book is Leading from Behind, the Obama Doctrine and the U.S. Retreat from International Affairs. Thank you, Dr. Herb London. And we'll talk to you again. Thank you. God bless. All right, folks, we'll take a quick break in about 5 minutes, and we will open up the phone lines at 855-853-5227. That's 855-853-5227. If you have any thoughts, comments, or questions regarding North Korea, regarding the threat of nuclear war, right? I mean, obviously it's way out there. And as he said, we don't want to use words like war cavalierly. I think it is the nature of men that they speak in these terms. It's I think 90% of it is testosterone. I really believe that, but it is something to be concerned with. Just the fact that North Korea has repeatedly launched these missiles, and even just launching them is an act of aggression, whether they hit a foreign target or not. It is an act of aggression. It is basically it's what bullies do. And how do you handle a bully? And keep in mind that this particular bully, the Rocket Man, as he's been called in the press, is, first of all, he's a very, very flawed individual. He really is. I mean, anybody that looks like that at his age, how old do you think he is? Kim Jong-un. I'm going to find out right now. I'm going to Google it. I always ask myself, what would IQ do? He would just Google it. So we're going to find out Kim Jong-un age. And he is, in fact, 33 years old. I got to tell you, folks, when I was 33 years old, I may not have been in the best shape of my life, but I looked a hell of a lot better than this guy does. I mean, this guy is 5'7" in height, and it's estimated that he weighs about 300 pounds. 5'7". That's, let's see, he's 7 or 8 inches shorter than I am. And he is, obviously these people have trouble pushing themselves away from the fatty foods. Kim Jong-un, his father was Kim Jong-il, who died in 2011. His grandfather was also a dictator in Korea. The Kim family has basically brainwashed the people of North Korea into believing that Kim Jong-un and his family are, in fact, some kind of deity. He starves his people so he can have a fat military budget. And very clearly, and by the way, how do you have a bankrupt population, and yet your own net worth is estimated at $5 billion? I mean, this is. This is. I don't even want to call him a man. I consider him to be a boy. He's a man-child. He had the benefit of some Western education. But, and by the way, he, in order to, assure that his power is more absolute, he had his own brother murdered in Indonesia. I don't know if anybody recalls that. He was married. He has a wife named Ri Sol Ju. They were married in 2009. I don't see any report that he has children. And that might be problematic. I mean, at some point in time, if he kills all of his siblings, then what's he going to do for for an heir apparent? Who knows? But Kim Jong-un, this is not a strong man. This is not a man of good character. This is one of these people that was entitled. Just through his birthright, he was groomed by his nutjob father to be an absolute menace. And yes, I see here, they're estimating his weight at exactly 300 pounds. And at 33 years of age and 5'7", I mean, this guy, I mean, he's in danger, really. You talk about heart disease and diabetes and all these things. But, we look at this and people make the assumption that Kim Jong-un is some kind of accomplished political leader. He's not. He's a slob. He is an absolute slob. And he thinks that he has all this power. But I think we have some options. I think there's some options on the table that the, president and military leaders have not talked about out loud. But there are some things that can be done and perhaps will be done. Imagine a directed energy weapon that generates a localized electromagnetic pulse that only affects the strategic areas of North Korea within milliseconds. We could send the entirety of North Korea back at least 100 years in time in terms of computers, in terms of, missile guidance systems and the whole 9 yards. Some people say, well, that might be a bit extreme. Well, so is allowing a madman to develop nuclear warheads and ICBMs that can deliver those warheads anywhere on the planet. That, ladies and gentlemen, is extreme. Stick around. We got so much more to talk about. It's Friday, the first day of December. We are live from 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time, Monday through Friday. And we've got much, much more to come on the J.J. McCartney Show. Phone lines are open at 855-853-5227. More to come.
The J.J. McCartney Show.
And now let's go down on the farm with Hillary.
I want to congratulate you for coming up with this and trying to, give your viewers a little behind-the-scenes understanding. I have to tell you, I used to hear my friends who got there before I did to grandparenthood, and I would go, sure, I'm sure it's great.
Cluck, old hen, cluck and sing, ain't laid eggs since the way life been. Cluck, old hen, cluck and spoil, ain't laid eggs since the way life.
Bill and I are having the best time. I have to tell you, when you're holding that grandchild, a million memories are going through your head. I remember being in a rocking chair when Chelsea was just a little baby and rocking her one night when she was just fussy and she just couldn't go to sleep and she would cry. I was trying to soothe her and all. And finally I looked at her and I said, honey, you've never been a baby before and I've never been a mother before. We know so well here in South Carolina.
My old hen's a good old hen. She lays eggs for the railroad men. Sometimes 8, sometimes 10. That's enough eggs for the railroad men.
Number one, get better infrastructure because you cannot attract and keep jobs. I want to see every child. A little guy from Arkansas, I've said a lot. I said, I'm not running for my husband's third term and I'm not running for Barack Obama's third term. I'm running for my first term.
The old hen cackled, the resin flew up, chopped the roof and it went along too. The old hen cackled in the lot. Next time she cackled in the pot.
In my husband's case, 23 million new jobs. In President Obama's case, saving us from a Great Depression. I love watching people redecorating their houses, buying houses. This is a question I'm going to totally dodge.
I'll get up a mug if you fill up my jug with some good old Mountain Dew.
Hey, everybody. everybody. JJ McCartney here. You know, it's not very often that I get excited about a product, but I am sure excited about this one. I'm talking, of course, about MyPillow.com. These pillows are made in the USA. They come with a 60-day comfort guarantee and a 10-year warranty. They are machine washable and dryable. They come with a patented interlocking fill. It keeps you cool at night, and it will not go flat. Go to MyPillow.com. Click the Radio Listeners Special tab and use promo code JJMC to get 2 premium king or queen size pillows and 2 additional go anywhere travel pillows for one special price and free shipping. That's MyPillow.com, promo code JJMC, or call 800-953-6613. That's 800-953-6613. MyPillow.com, promo code JJMC.
Whenever we talk about cancer, we always use the same word: someday. Someday there'll be a cure. Someday we won't lose the people we love. But when is someday? Someday is today. Thanks to the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, hundreds of thousands diagnosed with blood cancer are today living a normal life. In the past 12 years, half the cancer therapies approved by the FDA were first approved for blood cancer patients, many with research supported by LLS. We are on the brink of life-changing breakthroughs. You can make these happen sooner. Call 888-HELP-LLS or visit LLS.org. Help us make cures happen. Help us reach today sooner. Call 888-HELP-LLS or visit LLS.org.
This is the JJ McCartney Show.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
You've accidentally cut your daughter's bangs unevenly. Do you A, line things up a centimeter from her hairline?
Man, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man.
No, sweatbands are so hot right now. Everyone's wearing them, like that basketball player and that other basketball player.
B, get spiritual.
Mom, where did all the mirrors go?
A reflection could never capture our true selves.
Huh?
Beauty is within.
C, look on the bright side.
Less time blow drying, more time texting.
Or D, show empathy.
Mom, you really don't have
Ta-da! Twinsies.
I kinda love it. As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
All right, we are back on the JJ McCartney Show, Friday, the first day of December. And we are live from 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time, Monday through Friday. Glad to have you with us. Well, folks, here's some news. The GOP says that it has enough votes to pass the Senate tax bill. Republican leaders say the party has 50 votes after wavering senators signal their support. There's one lone holdout in the GOP, that is Senator Bob Corker of Tennessee, Republican, who is, by the way, leaving the Senate, saying he's not going to run for re-election. Mitch McConnell says we have the votes. That could put Republicans one step closer to the dramatic reshaping of the tax code that has been talked about for years and deliver a legislative victory for President Trump. The bill would cut tax rates on corporations, remove or limit long-standing tax breaks, and subject fewer wealthy families to the estate tax. Republicans control 52 seats in the Senate, and even with just 50, Vice President Mike Pence would be the tiebreaker that would give the Republicans the majority, the simple majority needed to pass the bill and send it to President Trump's desk for his signature. Now, the bottom line is this. This would be good for job creation in the United States, perhaps the best job-creating tool at anyone's disposal. So we'll keep you posted on that. Also, next hour, we're going to talk about the entire fishing expedition with Robert Mueller. And it looks like they've flipped Michael Flynn. Flynn has pled guilty to lying to the FBI in return for a lenient sentence and protection of his family from possible implication. There's speculation, rampant speculation in the news media, irresponsibly rampant speculation that Flynn is going to say some incriminating things about the president and his family and the White House staff. Who knows? But I do know this. I know that so far not one scintilla of evidence has been unearthed that proves any kind of collusion between Russia and the president or his campaign. So this is going to develop over the next several weeks. We'll find out more. Okay, folks, you recall on Wednesday there were women marching in Washington, storming the office of Senator Al Franken, also calling for the resignation of John Conyers of Michigan. Now, Monday we did speak with Melanie Morgan, who was the driving force behind the entire thing, and I wanted to give you a chance to hear the interview. We spoke with Melanie Morgan on Monday here on the J.J. McCartney Show. Melanie, is that you?
Yes, indeed.
All right. Now, are we on the right phone line now?
No, we're not. But my phone didn't ring, so I got worried that maybe there's something wrong with my connection, so I just decided to call you on my cell phone.
Well, I thank you for doing that. And for those that are not familiar with you, I want to, first of all, introduce you. You are the person who has become, more of a nationwide personality because of, not only because of your credentials as somebody that has been in the media for a while and somebody that has made a name for yourself in your career as a reporter and many other things. Tell us a little bit about your background before we jump right in.
Well, I've been a mainstream reporter for many, many years. I worked for ABC as an international hotspot reporter covering the bombing of our Marine compound in Beirut in 1983 to the return of hostages to West Germany on a TWA flight to, all kinds of political events as well. But for the last 20 years, I've been a talk show host, and I have to tell you that I've had some very incredible experiences. I think many folks may have heard by now if they've been dialed into what's been going on the national scene involving Senator Al Franken.
Exactly, and that's the crux of what we want to talk about today is the behavior of this man. And, you initially had interacted with him as a result of an appearance that you made on the Bill Maher talk show on HBO. Is that correct?
Yeah, it was actually before the HBO version because Bill Maher, as you might remember, started out on ABC's Politically Incorrect.
Right.
But because of some politically incorrect things that he said, he lost his job with ABC, and so he ended up on HBO.
That's what you call being downwardly mobile.
Exactly. Yeah. What happened was I was invited as a guest on a show, and one of his guests was Al Franken when he was the unfunny comedian before he became the unfunny United States Senator. And we had an interchange that was very mundane. It wasn't that big a deal. It involved some budget numbers from the OMB. My larger point that I was trying to make was that smaller government is better, less spending is better. But he just started arguing with me back and forth and challenged me time and again. And finally, the taping was over. I thought, well, that'll be the end of it. But it wasn't. He followed me back to the green room and started engaging me again, got up in my face, in my space, and he really made me feel physically uncomfortable. I tried to leave, and he literally followed after me right to the outside of the studios. And then I thought, well, surely it's over now. But it wasn't. He ended up phoning me for 3 successive days and really just harassing me with these rambling, incoherent phone conversations. And I kept saying, I don't want to talk to you. I don't know how you got my home phone number, first of all. And I just want you to stop calling me. I do not want to have any more conversations with you. But it kept going. Finally, I had to threaten to call the cops in order to make him stop, and that was what made him stop later, a threat of police report being taken.
Right. Now, you know, this man's patterns of behavior, you know, he's been in the public eye for a very long time. He was a writer for Saturday Night Live in the mid-'70s, and then he became an on-air personality and writer for the same show, SNL, in the early to mid-'80s. And, you know, that was my first awareness of Al Franken. And when I was a teenager, and he was writing for Saturday Night Live, I didn't necessarily find that he was terribly funny. He struck me as somebody that thought that you know, being a smartass was actually you know, something that instantly made you funny. And so he was very irreverent in the way that he approached his comedy. And as the years have gone by, I've just never been impressed with him. And as a matter of fact, you know, when this story emerged, and I actually, you know, did some looking around to find recent pictures of Al Franken, and the guy, he just looks so creepy. There's no way in the world I would leave this man alone with young children. I really wouldn't.
You know what is hilarious about Al Franken? What just cracked me up, actually, was today when he offered a second so-called apology, and he blamed men for his inability to keep his hands to himself when he's around women. Wow. I mean, this was part of the WCCO interview that he did over the Thanksgiving holiday, which blew my mind. I mean, I couldn't help but laughing out loud on that one.
Yeah, poor Al Franken. Leave it to the left to find a way to make themselves the victims.
You know, that's exactly what he did. In a 35-minute interview that was just like rambling, he spent a majority of the time insisting that he never remembered groping any of the women who have accused him of touching them inappropriately. And you know what? Even today, I have not heard an apology for the abusive behavior that he exhibited towards me. He's never even acknowledged that I exist. He won't, or his staff won't even offer, you know, a non-apology apology that he didn't remember. So, I mean, this is the guy who clearly wants to have it both ways. You know what really upsets me, though, right now is that they are going to Washington starting, I'm leaving tomorrow morning, and we're having a national news conference demanding that Al Franken resign. In addition, Congressman John Conyers, he needs to step down, or as we call him, Captain Underpants. He's the guy who was parading around in his tighty-whities in front of his staff members, all liberal Democrats. And so this kind of behavior can't be accepted. And also Joe Barton of Texas. Apparently there's a very naughty picture of his private parts that have circulated on the internet. We're making a bipartisan effort to clean up the halls of Congress. We can't have sexual harassers and gropers in elective office. It's just not going to stand. So we're bringing Kathleen Willey, Juanita Broderick. We're bringing Dr. Alveda King and Paula Jones to Washington so that the Clinton victims can stand together with all of us to demand that these people leave office right now.
Yeah, that's Melanie Morgan. And what a fantastic job she did in spearheading this effort and calling on Senators Franken and Conyers to step down. And there is momentum developing in Congress itself. Nancy Pelosi calling on John Conyers to step down. John Conyers' attorney defiantly stood there at a podium and said, John Conyers was not elected by Nancy Pelosi. He was elected by the people of Michigan. It was very defiant. Extremely defiant. But isn't this just the way with the hypocrites on the left? Now, if this had been a Republican, had this been a Republican doing this, what do you think the first thing would have been? They would have... Well, first of all, they would have been merciless in tarring and feathering any Republican. But the other part of this is, beyond the moral dilemma, if we can call it that. It's simply the fact that there are legal ramifications. And, maybe it's to the point where prosecutors can say, look, we can do this the hard way or we can do this the easy way. It's up to you. I know a lot of folks will say, well, he's been there for so long. He deserves some deferential treatment. I don't think that's going to wash anymore. And as we said yesterday, that whole boys will be boys thing, yeah, that's no longer going to work. And it never should have. That's the thing. It never should have worked for anybody in the first place. At least that's how I see it. Phone lines are open, 855-853-5227. If you are out there today listening to the program on redstatetalkradio.com, jjmccartney.com, those of you listening on TalkStream Live, as well as the folks listening on Roku, we're also live on Spreaker. And, of course, we got the live streaming video at jjmccartney.com. So tell your friends where to find the show, please. I would count it as a personal favor. Now, folks, we got something fairly entertaining that I'm going to share with you later in the program that I wanted to bring a little bit of levity to this Friday show. Because heaven knows we need some levity. And I've got some very cute stuff to show you. Extremely cute stuff that we will show you regarding Christmas memes on Facebook. I really do think you're going to enjoy this. I know I have. So we will bring you the Christmas memes on Facebook. And as I said, these are funny as can be. And especially for you cat lovers out there, I really, really do think that you're going to love what we're going to bring you. So stick around. We'll have, I will show you the videos, or rather the memes. I will bring those to you live. Well, as live as we can get. Anyway. Yes, levity is good. Absolutely right, Jen. And we need a little levity. We need a little Christmas. That's what we need. As the old song goes. Well, I want you all to do me a favor right now as we step into this break. Please, go and share the show with your friends on social media. Wherever you may be. Because I want to share this with as many people as possible. I want to give everybody a chance to, bask in the holiday spirit and understand that, hey, we're all in this thing together. We really are. And, I think we all need a good laugh every now and then. And boy, have I got some good laughs for you. It's all coming up on the J.J. McCartney Show on this Friday extravaganza, and it rolls on in just a minute. Stay with us.
If you agree with JJ's conservative pillars for rescuing America's economy, stay tuned for more. If you are a liberal and think everything is okay, you can go pet your unicorn now.
You send a kid to the emergency room for a treatable illness like asthma. They end up taking up a hospital bed. It costs they just gave them treatment early, and they got some treatment, a breathalyzer or an inhalator. Not a breathalyzer. You know what? It would cost about the same as what we would spend over the course of 10 years. It would cost what it would cost us. All right. Okay. We're going to. It would cost us about the same as it would cost hold on one second. I can't hear myself. And they got some treatment, and you gave them treatment early. I haven't had much sleep in the last 48 hours, so.
Today, nearly half our nation's fighting forces are members of the Guard and Reserve. When they are called to active duty, they leave behind a family, a community, and a job. Employer support of the Guard and Reserve, a Department of Defense agency, honors and protects the bond between service members and their civilian employers. Whether serving our country or supporting those who do, we all serve. To learn more about ESGR, call 1-800-336-4590 or visit esgr.mil.
The J.J. McCartney Show.
Captain Eric Lawrence was training Afghan soldiers when his truck was hit by an IED.
I was on the way from Kandahar to Kalat. Hit an IED that just took the truck and threw it up in the air and slammed it on the ground. I knew at first that I got hurt pretty bad because I couldn't move my legs. I sat home alone for months. I didn't want that anymore. I wanted to go back to work. I was hesitant at first, because I didn't work for a good year. I want to be a productive person. I don't want to be a drain on society. I want to be a positive thing in society. PVA helped me write my resume, got me a job interview. I got the job.
Helping veterans like Eric is what we've done for over 65 years. Paralyzed Veterans of America, paving access for veterans' employment through Operation PAVE. For more information, visit pva.org. A public service message from Paralyzed Veterans of America.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are back on the J.J. McCartney Show this Friday, the first day of December. I tell you what, I'm looking at the calendar. 3 weeks from Monday, ladies and gentlemen. 3 weeks from Monday is the big day. Now, I wanted to share this with everybody because you all need a laugh every now and then. I do too. I know that most of us do. So what I'm going to do here, I am going to share with you some memes from Facebook. Now, I want you all to enjoy these memes, and especially you cat lovers out there, and I want to thank Jonathan Cawthorn for posting this. These are memes on Facebook regarding Christmas, and especially for you cat lovers out there. Check this first one, which says, "Wreck the tree and blame the doggies. Fa la 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 la." A couple of innocent-looking kitty cats in Santa Claus type garb. All right, there's one. Next we go. You see this rather unamused-looking cat, and I'm gonna expand the screen here so that more and more folks on the video site can see this. This one says, dress your cat in gay apparel. Fa la 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 la. Put yourself in mortal peril. Fa la 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 la. You know how cats are. They like to cooperate when you're trying to dress them up, don't they? Yes, they do. Next, we come to this Christmas tip. It says, wrap empty boxes and put them under the tree. And then every time your child acts up, you take one of the boxes and throw it in the fireplace because they don't know it's empty. That's it's a free parenting tip from somebody named Pamela Moen. Nice job, Pamela. Okay, next, this little cute one. Watch the kitty cat in the Santa suit. That's right. It's just a loop, but isn't it just darling? You cat lovers out there, I expect you to share this with all your friends. All right. Next, Pamela's been busy. Here's a Rudolph's cousin doing a little dance for the folks on Facebook. That's Rudolph's cousin dancing to the holiday music, I assume. Next, we go to Santa Claus, who's explaining to his elf, "No, I no longer keep a naughty or nice list. I only am concerned with who friends me." Santa Claus carrying an iPad. Here's one. Politically correct folks out there will love this, from Richard Helmond. Says, if you say Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, or Season's Greetings, it's going to offend somebody. That's why we're advising our people to say Bah Humbug. Yep. Oh, there we go. Terry Huey with the next one. Poor little kitty cat with a Christmas hat on saying, The vet removed my jingle bells. Oh, I guess, yeah, good stuff. That's funny. That's funny. Next, Terry Huey. You got this cat. Look at that poor cat sitting there, and he says, do you know what I got for Christmas? Fat. I got fat for Christmas. Poor guy. Or girl. I can't tell which. Here's the next one. A mug shot for this poor cat holding a sign that says, I knocked down the Christmas tree. And then there's this one of a cat. You got these ascending shelves in this corner, and you've got kittens that are climbing the shelves. And the cat is saying in the best urban dialect, put it that way, the cat is saying, no, I did not hide your Christmas prezzies up there, so get down. Yeah. There's an obsession with kitty cats here. Here's one with an actual kitty cat wearing reindeer horns. I don't know how these cats sit still for this. Here's one. Oh, my goodness. Does that cat look happy? I ask you. Does that cat look at all happy? No. Now, some of these are, visuals. So those of you listening, I highly advise you tune into the video stream at jjmccartney.com just so you can see these memes. I should have said that at the outset. This next one. You recognize the scene from Die Hard, circa 1988. It's Bruce Willis going through the ductwork at the Nakatomi Plaza with a cigarette lighter lighting the way. He's wearing a wife-beater T-shirt. That's the one where, he's in the ductwork and he's saying, come out to the coast, we'll get together, have a few laughs. And the meme says, there are two types of people in this world. Those who think Die Hard is a Christmas movie and those who are wrong. Yes, indeed. Next, we see Santa Claus, thanks to Lisa Rayam, saying, I've seen your Facebook statuses. You're getting a dictionary for Christmas. I dedicate that one to a lot of our friends on Facebook. Here's one from Jane Petinaud Kelly. I hope I'm pronouncing that, Jane, correctly. It's a kitty cat who has wormed his way into a 12-pack of Diet Dr. Pepper. And boy, doesn't that sound good right now, a Diet Dr. Pepper. Used to be one of my favorites, but, as time goes by, I would love to have a variety of diet sodas in the house. Although I know everybody's saying, oh, it's not good for you, it's not good for you. Well, you know what? I'm still here. Put it that way. Here we go. Here's one of a little elf on the job looking through the magnifying glass. And I really don't understand why this is funny, but it says red rum in the magnifying glass. So, or no, that's a mirror. I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, that's even weirder. That's a disturbed little elf right now that happens to look a lot like Kevin Spacey now that I think about it. Okay, here's one. Yeah, same thing. Different meme, but the same message. Wrap up empty boxes for presents under the tree. And then when your kid misbehaves, you just grab one and throw it in the fireplace. The only problem with that is, what about people that don't have fireplaces? Then what do you do? Okay, here's the next one. It's Batman looking down pensively, and he's saying, I don't care what the song says. I don't smell. You folks out there that are in my age bracket will get that. Maybe somebody would wish to explain it to the younger folks out there. Jingle bells, jingle bells. They changed the lyrics to Jingle Bells, Batman smells, Robin laid an egg. Okay. Next on the docket, We have Kathy Kennedy O'Brien. She says, I hope I don't get in trouble for this one. It's Maury Povich at the nativity scene. And he's saying, according to our test results, Joseph, you are not the father. And then it says, Maury Christmas. Oh, gosh. I honestly, folks, I hadn't seen it yet, but that's the best one yet. According to our test results, Joseph, you are not the father. Oh, I love that. Whoever thought that up? Whoever thought that up? And I wish I knew so I could thank them personally for bringing some levity to this Friday show. Next hour, by the way, we will talk more in depth about the Mueller investigation, the fishing expedition that just goes on and on and on ad infinitum. Okay. These are, the wipes that they put out so you can wipe down the handles of the grocery cart when you go in the grocery store. They're called Sani cloth. That's the name of it's a container that has handy wipes in it that you use to wipe off the shopping carts. It's called Sani cloth. And Joshua Kreider adds this to the meme. He says, when you ask Mike Tyson, who comes down the chimney on Christmas? Sani cloth. That's funny. It really is. This one I'm not going to read, but I will let you look at it yourself. Jeff James, shame on you. Shame on you, Jeff James. The caption speaks for itself. I'm not going to say that on the show. I just am not. I refuse. So you have to tune in to the video stream to see it and to laugh at it. I'll help you out by saying you'll be about 57 minutes into the video stream that you'll see this. All right. We move down a little farther, and you've got this very enthusiastic-looking cat that has been forced to stand for a Christmas photo. And the caption says, Fleas Navidad. Okay. Oh, my goodness. Here's a Gloria Peterson Arrington, her offering. It's a picture of a pug that is dressed up. And I can't quite tell what the pug is wearing. But the caption says, did somebody order a pugkin spice latte? So if anybody understands what the pug is wearing, maybe that would help me understand it a little better. Let's see. We'll continue this madness if we have time next hour. Here's one, an outhouse. Santa Claus is exiting or going into the outhouse. I can't tell. But the reindeer are standing around the outhouse, and the caption says, oh, he's coming out. The caption says, that was the last year Santa would forget to bring his glasses. Okay, now I get it. Yep, that's the last time Santa would forget to bring his glasses. You see, he opens the door to the outhouse. And for whatever reason, he thinks that it's a chimney. And you can imagine how the rest of that Christmas went. Okay, here's one of a deer, a family of deer sitting with Santa playing Scrabble. And Santa Claus Santa Claus has a 7-letter word in front of him. And the word is venison. And the question from Rudolph is, why are you stalling, Santa? Stick around, folks. More to come in hour number 2 of the J.J. McCartney Show here at jjmccartney.com, Red State Talk Radio. We'll be back. Are these the first volleys in America's next Civil War?
He's not a tough guy. He's a bully and he's a bitch.
He's a punk. He's a dog. He's a pig.
And he can suck my
He's a con, a bullshit artist, a mutt.
I'll meet him in a hotel room any day of the week and give him a Louisville Slugger.
I'd like to punch him in the face.
Kiss my mother.
Which side of the aisle is really spewing hateful rhetoric?
Pointing what appears to be a water gun at the image of President Donald Trump projected on a whiteboard, our teacher Pale Modi has now been seen by countless viewers.
Yes, I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
Weekdays from noon to 3 p.m. Eastern Time, the J.J. McCartney Show, exposing the truth, exposing the lies, exposing the deep state.
It's an actor dressed to look just like President Donald Trump as he's assassinated on stage.
How much longer can America survive this kind of hatred?
Video depicting comedian Kathy Griffin holding the bloody, decapitated head of President Trump are no joking matter for the Secret Service.
The rhetoric that has inspired the violence has come from the mainstream of the Democratic Party.
They're involved in the coup, an active attempt to start a bloody civil war.
I want people to imagine an FBI director that has the stones to investigate the deep state. Imagine a justice system that has the integrity to prosecute corrupt government officials. They have refused to apply the 14th Amendment and give conservatives equal protection under the law. What we've seen here has been the gradual takeover of the government by corporatism, by globalism. They have wrested control of our government away from the citizenry and put it in the hands of a few special interests. And these special interests are as evil as the day is long.
We finally do have a president who has the integrity to do this. We finally do have a DOJ who has the integrity to do this. We know that we have people around the president who not only have the integrity, but have the information and the contacts to get everything done you just said. And you say, well, why aren't they doing it? Everything you're seeing on the news, that's what it's about. That's what this investigation's about. That's what calls of impeachment are about. That's what the globalist attack against Trump is about. That's what the hearings are about. That's what the allegations of Russian spying are about. It's about keeping them off point, keeping them off the agenda, keeping them off task. A lot of what you're watching happening right now, and the misdirection and the complete trying to keep Trump off target goes to that birth certificate. The worst crime in American history was perpetrated against America under the regime of Barack Obama. The media is complicit. Congress is complicit. Federal law enforcement apparently has been complicit. We've got a CIA whistleblower, Dennis Montgomery, whose attorney, Larry Klayman, put it all over the internet the other day that he has said that all of this spying that's been going on American people, that it resulted in manipulation and collusion with judges, Supreme Court justices, congressmen, etc., that James Comey was involved in it, that he was at the top of it. All of this stuff you're seeing about Donald Trump's with the Russians, Donald Trump needs to be impeached, Donald Trump, this is a smokescreen to keep our eyes off of what really happened and what's really going on. And America had better wake up to this, JJ.
Your federal government, your federal law enforcement agencies, our federal intelligence agencies, your federal government in toto has been compromised. The fact that Donald Trump has arrived and said, I'm not going to go along with the status quo anymore, is the cause for alarm for these people on the left. And ultimately, Carl, is it possible that yesterday was simply the first shot fired in an impending civil war between two irreconcilable ideologies?
I don't want our children and grandchildren to see or to participate or to fall victim to such a thing. I don't want our nation to go through such a thing. I don't know that we could survive that. Like Abraham Lincoln's Gettysburg Address, when he said, now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation or any other nation so conceived and so dedicated can long endure. I mean, God's people, we need to pray. We need to not be afraid to speak truth.
Weekdays from noon to 3 p.m. Eastern Time. The J.J. McCartney Show. Exposing truth. Exposing the lies. Exposing the deep state.
Live from the Nightside Radio Studios.
This is the J.J. McCartney Show.
Are you better off than you were 4 years ago?
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
Coming to you from Nebraska by way of Alaska. Here's J.J. McCartney.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It is the Friday edition of the J.J. McCartney Show. Thanks for joining us. Whether you're listening at redstatetalkradio.com or jjmccartney.com or on your portable devices. Those of you out there listening on Spreaker.com, we welcome you as well. We got live streaming video at jjmccartney.com, which may come in handy for those of you that wish to see what it is we talk about. I don't know why in the world you'd wish to see this, but it's here for you anytime. Phone lines are open at 855-853-5227. Thanks to everybody for joining us today. It's great to have you with us on this first day of December. Pretty amazing. We made it through another month. And a month from today, it's going to be 2018. And then you know what's going to happen. We will race our way through the elections of 2018. And then we'll see what happens. I think that there's a lot of speculation right now in the media, and all of it is horse-pucky. It really is. The American people are not frustrated with President Trump. They are frustrated with Congress. They are frustrated with the Senate, and they are frustrated with both political parties because they are so corrosive and destructive to our national dialogue. They really, really are. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about the developing story of the day, which has to do with Michael Flynn, the former national security advisor to President Trump. The former national security advisor pleading guilty to making false statements to the FBI amid special counsel Robert Mueller's investigation into Russian interference in the 2016 election. Flynn was charged with one count of making false statements regarding interactions with Russian officials after the presidential election. Mind you that the interactions were not at all improper or illegal. The charge stems from a January 24th interview FBI agents had with Michael Flynn about his interactions with Russian Ambassador Sergei Kislyak. The interview was conducted just 4 days after President Trump was sworn into office. Of course, the Washington Times is trying to put a spin on this story that has nothing to do with fact. None. Former White House NSA advisor Michael Flynn admitting that he lied to investigators when he said he didn't ask Russia's ambassador to the United States to limit Moscow's reaction to U.S. sanctions during the presidential transition. Absolutely nothing improper about that. Nothing improper about that. The charge was brought as part of special counsel Robert Mueller's investigation into Russian meddling in the 2016 election. And then here's where the Washington Post goes right back to their completely false narrative saying, and possible coordination with members of the Trump campaign. And it brings Mr. Mueller's probe for the first time into the president's inner circle. Now, Flynn, a lieutenant general in the Army, was the president's top national security advisor for a month until he resigned in February for having misled Vice President Mike Pence about the extent of his contacts with Russia's ambassador to the United States. Appearing in federal court in D.C., Flynn acknowledged today that he was cooperating with the special counsel's investigation. Lying to the FBI carries a penalty of up to 5 years in prison. However, we're told that it will be the recommendation of Mueller that he receive no more than 6 months. Mr. Flynn left the federal courthouse this morning. He was greeted with chants of "lock him up" from protesters. At the White House, President Trump and his legal team apparently learned that, I'm sorry, just a little problem with the stupid computer. Happens from time to time. You know how it is. So, the White House, as we said, the Trump legal team apparently learned about Flynn's guilty plea via news reports this morning. The president's lawyer, Ty Cobb, said nothing about the guilty plea or the charge implicates anyone other than Mr. Flynn. The false statements involved mirror the false statements to White House officials, which resulted in the resignation in February of Mr. Flynn. Mr. Cobb said in a statement provided by the White House, "The conclusion of this phase of the special counsel's work demonstrates again that the special counsel is moving with all deliberate speed and clears the way for a prompt and reasonable conclusion." He called Mr. Flynn a former national security advisor at the White House for 25 days during the Trump administration, and a former Obama administration official as well. Documents filed in the case indicate Mr. Flynn was facilitating discussions between the ambassador and high-level Trump officials. Well, now, wait a minute. Wouldn't the national security advisor be considered a high-level Trump official? Talking about Russian affairs before Mr. Trump was sworn into office on January 20th. Doesn't that make you wonder what the big deal is really all about? According to court documents, the day after President Barack Obama signed an executive order announcing sanctions against Russia over its alleged interference. I'm sorry, but I'm going to correct you, Washington Times, because you suck. Okay? Just make that clear. Obama signed the executive order announcing sanctions against Russia over its alleged interference in the 2016 election. Flynn called a senior official on the Trump presidential transition team to ask what he should tell Russian Ambassador Sergei Kislyak about the sanctions. The official was at Mr. Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort with other officials, discussed with Mr. Flynn how the sanctions could impact the incoming administration's foreign policy agenda. Again, that's nothing that's out of line that I can tell. After the call, Mr. Flynn spoke again with Mr. Kislyak himself to tell him not to let Russia escalate the situation and only to respond to the U.S. sanctions in a reciprocal manner. See, I'm scratching my head here, wondering what the big deal really is. Now, the following day, Russian President Vladimir Putin said Moscow would not retaliate against the U.S. over the sanctions. Mr. Trump praised the announcement on Twitter, saying, "Great move on delay by V. Putin," saying, "I always knew he was a very smart guy," or very smart. Now, the false statement charge stems from that January 24th interview that FBI agents had with Flynn about his interactions with Mr. Kislyak. Now, prosecutors allege that, the interaction between Mr. Flynn and Mr. Kislyak was somehow, I don't know, criminal. I don't see how, though. They assert Flynn lied when he told investigators that he did not ask Mr. Kislyak to delay the vote on a pending United Nations Security Council resolution. Stocks fell sharply today. Don't you just love the way these people try and make it sound like everything drives the market? Stocks fell sharply on Friday after ABC News reported that Mr. Flynn intended to testify that Mr. Trump directed him to make contact with Mr. Kislyak. Now, tell me something, folks. One day before the president takes office, his incoming national security advisor asks him what he should do with regard to communicating with Russia's ambassador to the United States after Barack Hussein Obama imposes these sanctions based on dubious allegations of Russian interference in the election. The Dow dropped more than 300 points before rebounding slightly. But, ladies and gentlemen, Fridays on the markets, you don't need any kind of political story to cause the markets to go down or up. This weak correlation that the Washington Times is trying to make here. And listen, I don't care if you're the Washington Times or not. Some people say, well, they're a conservative publication. You shouldn't pick on them. I'm sorry, I will. When you try and make these correlations, then you are being just like the Washington Post. Mark Corallo, a Republican strategist who worked for a time on Mr. Trump's legal team this year, says he doesn't believe the Flynn guilty plea will lead necessarily to more charges for aides close to the president or the president himself. He noted that the FBI has been investigating allegations about Russian meddling for nearly 2 years. If they found nothing in that time to tie the president to Russian collusion, I don't see it coming now. He said, we may be seeing the end. I don't think they're going to find anything linking the president to cooperating with the Russians on meddling in our elections. Flynn's guilty plea, the most ominous legal development yet for the president's inner circle, came on the same day that Mr. Trump was expected to score the biggest legislative victory as the Senate is poised to approve his tax cut plan. Senator Dianne Feinstein, the ranking Democrat on the Senate Judiciary Committee, said the guilty plea by Flynn is about more than just lying to the FBI. What he lied about and when he did it are of even greater significance. I wish we could go back and play the tapes of what Feinstein said about Bill Clinton. Back when there was a dress being analyzed before the court. Just saying. She says, this shows a Trump associate negotiating with the Russians against U.S. policy and interests before Donald Trump took office and after it was announced that Russia had interfered in our election. Lady, has there been any legal case brought against the Russians for interfering in elections, you stupid bitch? Dianne Feinstein. Oh, by the way, your hands are not exactly squeaky clean, Dianne Feinstein. She goes, that's a stunning revelation. It could be a violation of the Logan Act, which forbids unauthorized U.S. citizens from negotiating with a foreign power. ladies and gentlemen. I have no patience for the Dianne Feinsteins of the world. Their sliding scale of acceptable government morality. She said investigators must determine whether Flynn spoke with the Russians on his own initiative and who knew and approved of his actions. This is just one more proof point that these investigations must be allowed to continue without interference. Yeah, without interference by, I don't know, the facts, the real evidence, that it was the Democrats that were colluding with the Russians. And then there's the whole Uranium One deal. Why don't you talk about that, Dianne Feinstein? Asked by reporters about Mr. Flynn joining the Republican National Convention in a chant of lock her up over Mrs. Clinton's use of a private email server, Mr. Kaine replied, he would not give the benefit of a fair legal process to anybody else, but he gets the benefit of fair legal process. Please, why don't you go and smoke some weed with your son in Minnesota? During the convention, Mr. Flynn had said to the crowd, lock her up, that's right. If I did a tenth of what she did, I would be in jail today. If any of us did a tenth of what Hillary did, then we'd be lucky if we wound up in a jail and not in a cell at Guantanamo. I am thoroughly disgusted with the political machinations that have been driving this investigation from the outset. And how many times, my friends, how many times have we openly wondered aloud why it is that, behaviors by the Obamas and the Clintons, which were much more damaging to national security interests than anything that anybody associated with Donald Trump has ever done. Why is it that nobody on the left has ever called for investigators for Benghazi, for the weapons funneling of the Obama and Clinton regime, illegally funneling weapons to, yes, you guessed it, ISIS in Syria and Iraq? You tell me. Why is it that there's no chance by the Democrats insisting that we investigate the Obama regime for all of the things that they are most certainly guilty of? This is not theory, and this is not speculation. It's fact. It's recorded history. And Barack Obama is not the president anymore. But he certainly should be held to account for the illegal things that he did when he was president. All right, phone lines are open, 855-853-5227. You hear my voice. You can hear it's fading fast. If you're listening out there and you have thoughts and opinions, for God's sake, please pick up the phone. It's a toll-free call, 855-853-5227. We'll be right back.
The J.J. McCartney Show.
And now let's go down on the farm with Hillary.
I want to congratulate you for coming up with this and trying to, give your viewers a little behind-the-scenes understanding. I have to tell you, I used to hear my friends who got there before I did to Planned Parenthood, and I would go, sure, I'm sure it's great.
Cluck, old hen, cluck and sing, ain't laid eggs is the way life been. Cluck, old hen, cluck and spoil, ain't laid eggs is the way life.
Bill and I are having the best time. I have to tell you, when you're holding that grandchild, a million memories are going through your head. I remember being in a a rocking chair when Chelsea was just a little baby, and rocking her one night when she was just fussy and she just couldn't go to sleep and she would cry. You know, I was trying to soothe her and all. And finally I looked at her and I said, you know, honey, you've never been a baby before and I've never been a mother before. We know so well here in South Carolina.
My old hen's a good old hen. She lays eggs for the railroad men. Sometimes 8, sometimes 10. That's enough eggs for the railroad men.
Number one, get better infrastructure because you cannot attract and keep jobs. I want to see every child. A little guy from Arkansas, I've said a lot. I said, you know, I'm not running for my husband's third term and I'm not running for Barack Obama's third term. I'm running for my first term.
The old hen cackled, the residents flew up, chopped the roots and they went along too. The old hen cackled in the lot. Next time she cackled in the pot.
In my husband's case, 23 million new jobs. In President Obama's case, saving us from a Great Depression. I love watching people redecorating their houses, buying houses. You know, this is a question I'm going to totally dodge.
I'll get up, Mama, get to fill up my jug with some good old Mountain Dew.
Hey, everybody. JJ McCartney here. You know, it's not very often that I get excited about a product, but I am sure excited about this one. I'm talking, of course, about MyPillow.com. These pillows are made in the USA. They come with a 60-day comfort guarantee and a 10-year warranty. They are machine washable and dryable. They come with a patented interlocking fill. It keeps you cool at night and it will not go flat. Go to MyPillow.com. Click the Radio Listeners Special tab and use promo code JJMC to get 2 premium king or queen size pillows and 2 additional go anywhere travel pillows for one special price and free shipping. That's mypillow.com, promo code JJMC, or call 800-953-6613. That's 800-953-6613. mypillow.com, promo code JJMC.
My wife and I are spending more time on our computer. It's changing the way we live.
Mostly for the better.
Like paying our bills.
Or researching vacation spots.
But there can be a downside.
Right, like fake drugs being sold over the internet.
Because they look real and they seem like a great bargain.
And you can't always tell what's a fake.
Well, we learned the hard way.
At the emergency room.
Thousands of people are scammed into buying counterfeit drugs every day, thinking they're getting a deal. And rather than contain the active ingredient, they may contain dangerous elements like antifreeze, sawdust, or floor wax, resulting in potentially serious health risks. So never buy prescription or over-the-counter drugs online from unknown or unlicensed sources, as they are often dangerous fakes. Counterfeits hurt, but you have the power to stop them. To learn more, go to www.ncpc.org/getreal. Brought to you by the National Crime Prevention Council and the Bureau of Justice Assistance, U.S. Department of Justice.
You're listening to The J.J. McCartney Show. If you would like to learn more about being a guest on the show or just have a suggestion or comment, send your comments to the show at jjmccartney.com. The J.J. McCartney Show is broadcast by the Nightside Radio Studios in cooperation with PatriotFB.com.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes?
How could he do this to you? And for Sheila, she has split ends.
B, console her.
Oh, sweetie, this is going to happen a lot. 4, maybe 5 more times before you get married.
C, take charge.
Got to get this all straightened out. Keep a little talking to, man to man, mano a mano. Hey, Steve. Is now a good time? No? Okay, no problem. Bye.
Or D, help her find a new boyfriend.
I know a great place to meet boys. The internet. Nice, single boys. Never mind. How about some ice cream?
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Okay, I am back, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm asking you right now, please don't take me for granted. Because I'm sick of this. I'll be real honest with you right now. And I don't care anymore if I ruffle some feathers. Why do I bother putting myself through this 5 times a week? I'm faithfully doing a daily radio show for over 4 years. And the people who supposedly share my beliefs and views can't even be bothered to call and engage in meaningful conversation. I am very close to saying to hell with it and just walking away. If you claim to give a shit, I'm calling you out right here and right now. Prove it. Everybody talks. Everybody loves to say, oh, yeah, I'm conservative. I believe in everything you say and do. But you have absolutely no courage. You have no courage behind your convictions if all you're going to do is stay silent. And that's what I'm talking about. I am sick and tired of people that act like they're patriots when they're in front of patriots, but they do absolutely nothing. They are not willing to go even a half inch out on a limb. And I'm not just talking about newcomers. I'm talking about people I've known for years. They're a bunch of chicken shits, if you ask me. Oh, I don't want to go out there on that limb because people might think I'm, radical or something. I don't want to offend anybody. Have you seen the deficit? Have you seen the shape of the country? Have you seen what Barack Obama did to our military? And you can't be bothered to go a half an inch out on a limb? You claim to be too busy or whatever. You know, I don't know why I put myself through this every day. I really don't. Except for the fact that I have a passion for the cause. I thought some other people did too. Okay, let's go to the phones. Hello, caller. You're on the J.J. McCartney Show.
Hey, JJ, this is Terry.
Hey, what's going on, Terry?
Oh, just working. So that's why I think a lot of people don't call much, is because they're preoccupied just listening and trying to work at the same time. But I'm sorry you didn't have more calls. I went to your website and couldn't find a phone number. I know you repeated it, but I wasn't handy where I could write it down. So it took me 10 minutes to actually find the phone number to call in.
Well, if you go to the website, if you're actually listening to the show, how are you listening to the show?
I'm listening through Red State Talk Radio right now, but I did go to jjmccartney.com and the phone number was not there looking at it on my phone. So maybe the site needs to be updated for the mobile version that would have the numbers easily available.
Yeah. Well, that might help. Yeah. Maybe.
Because I honestly did not see it on I did not see it looking at through the web browser on the phone.
Okay.
Anyway, this whole deal with Mueller is it's a damn snipe hunt. I mean, that's all it is. Still not sick. It's a conviction looking for a crime.
Yeah.
There is no crime. There is no crime where it was committed.
Yeah,
but
that's absolutely right.
I do have a question for you. Do you have you followed what is collectively known as Q Anonymous off the 4chan or even the 8chan site now?
No.
Well, I just started following you on Twitter, not under the name Terry, because that's not the name I use there.
Okay.
But it's done. Those that don't know, part of the dark web is message forums, and there's some nasty stuff there. But there's also political forums.
Right.
But yeah, they can get nasty also with Nazi comments and anti-Semitism. But there's a thread there called "The Calm Before the Storm." And there's a poster known as Q. And he doesn't reveal things, but he asks questions. And it's geopolitical questions to point, it's done to get people to get the autistic army to look it up and create memes to red people, to red pill what they call normies,
Yeah, exactly.
And it's actually very enlightening in that Yeah, it could be anybody posting as this Q, but there's things that have been posted that only someone inside the White House or close to the Trump administration would know.
Yeah, and that too is, quite honestly, this has been the problem with President Trump, is that in his naivete, he just decided to leave so many staffers in place that were hired by Barack Obama. And
I agree. I agree. The holdovers are large.
I mean, it's a self-inflicted wound.
But so like another host said that used to be in the education industry that's on Red State in the mornings. It can take he'd come to a new school and it would take him 2 to 4 years to completely change out the administration. That bureaucracies don't change overnight.
Yeah,
I think with him there.
I think that's a cop out. I think it's a cop out. You cannot tell me that mission critical positions can't be filled if you have the proper motivation to do it. And you know what? If the government were to lose a whole bunch of bureaucrats in a day, the work would still get done.
We'd be better off.
The work would still get done that had to be done. And if it didn't, then it would fall on the next person down the food chain. But the thing is, you cannot leave people that are not loyal to your interests and your administration in mission critical positions, because you cannot trust anybody that has shown loyalty to Barack Obama. And let everybody learn a lesson from this. And that lesson is, if you're running for president, you had better have your entire administration laid out somewhere on a cork board where you can walk in and say, these are the people we're going to put here, 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 and here, and have it all in place already so that you are organized as you go through the door. Because this... Go ahead.
We've had 30 plus years of corruption in Washington.
And
it doesn't get changed out overnight.
No,
yes,
we haven't. We have had 200 plus years of corruption in Washington. The moment that they decided that the Senate and the Congress were going to be, that the people were going to be politically engaged in electing people. And especially when they changed the rules that made the Senate, again, a political endeavor to appoint senators instead of leaving it to the state legislatures to appoint the representatives that go to the Senate.
I agree wholeheartedly there.
Yeah.
That was a turning point for our history. So I do agree 100%, just like the Federal Reserve was a turning point for our history.
Yeah, well, exactly. And the thing is, it didn't happen overnight. And so obviously it gets more complicated with every day that goes by, every year that goes by. And this is how people entrench themselves in the bureaucracy. But if somebody has the collective political will to change things, and I believe if anybody does, it's Donald Trump, then the American people, I think, will get behind him. And all this speculation about, the Democrats are going to win in 2018, I'm like, who says who?
Nah.
That's the media living in la-la land, denying that Donald Trump was elected because Americans are sick and tired of this stuff. I really think that the media misses the whole point. They still don't understand why Donald Trump won. What was that?
I'm at a location. Somebody was talking outside the truck.
Okay.
Let me let you go and call you back in 10 minutes.
Terry, I thank you very much for the call. And if you can hang on.
Thank you, sir.
We've got Jen on the line. I think she wants to talk to you about something.
Okay, I'll listen.
I could be wrong. Jen, hello. Welcome to the show.
Hi, JJ. How are you doing?
Doing good. Doing good.
Yeah. What did you want me to talk about? I'm not sure what I wanted to talk about.
Oh, I don't know. I was looking here and I saw it said, "Hi, Jerry. It's Jen. I would love to talk to you about Santa Claus."
Oh, no, it was JJ. I think.
Okay.
Sorry. I said hi, JJ.
All right, Terry. Thank you very much for the call. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
So what's going on, Jen? How are things?
Oh, it's going great. No, I just really loved that last meme that you put up with Santa Claus where he's playing Scrabble with the reindeer, and the only word he can put up is venison. Yeah, that was great. And he doesn't know what to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he could play his venison.
We got plenty more of those, too. I mean, we got a lot of really funny stuff there. I mean, it's amazing how, and I think this is part of the new culture in America. By the way, let me close that. Thank you. The new culture in America, I think all of the very best memes that you find on Facebook, Jen, are done when people are working for somebody else. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no kidding.
It's like you cannot create a good meme unless you are being paid by somebody else to do work that you're not doing.
Oh, that's terrible, but it's true.
I think it is, too. Now we've got the hipster Santa. The hipster Santa wants you to leave out a coconut water and a gluten-free macaroon. Yeah. This is crazy stuff.
Santa Claus at our house would not. Santa Claus at our house would not like that.
And then we have then we have Darth Vader and a stormtrooper, and Darth Vader is holding up one of the elves by the neck, and he says, I find your lack of Christmas spirit disturbing. That's funny.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, my son has a shirt that says, it has a picture of Darth Vader on it, and it says, "Beware of choking hazards." And only a few people get it because they've seen that scene where he puts out his hand.
That's funny.
Yeah, very few people get it. But
yeah, well, you know. And then there's, let's see. Oh, then you've got, instead of lightsabers, they're fighting with candy canes. That's funny. Star Wars theme. We seem to have gotten a little off track here, but no, you know, I think that especially this time of year. I mean, I know that there's a lot of stress on people this time of year because, and you tell me, with a big family, do you ever feel any pressure, like I have to live up to a certain expectation for everybody in the house on Christmas Day? And so you got that pressure on yourself? Is that real, or am I imagining it?
Yes. Oh, it is. And the bigger they get, the more expensive their stuff gets. And I was thinking, oh, my gosh. So we're telling the 18-year-old and my 17-year-old, don't feel slighted. If you only get one thing or a half a thing with, like, an on layaway thing, because we can't pay. So and they want televisions that they can carry to their friend's house to play their video games with. They need their own screen. And I said, you can't take a little phone or a computer for that?
Yeah.
And they go, no.
Yeah.
And then my 18-year-old needs a computer for college. And I'm thinking, oh, my God.
Oh, yeah.
The bigger they get, the more expensive their toys get.
Yeah, you know, and when I think about it, you know, it's like it's been a long time since we had a young one in the house. But when they get to be teenagers, it's like you almost have to sit them down and say, look, don't take it personally this year if I don't get you an Escalade. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, don't take it personally if I don't lavish you with diamonds and gold and, you know, all that kind of stuff. Because, I mean, it's just not within reach for the average family anymore. Because, I mean, this economy, I don't think people realize how hard the Obama years were on middle-class America.
Man, you're right.
Especially Obamacare.
You're very right.
Obamacare has had a more detrimental effect on personal economies in America than anything that's ever happened with, and possibly not even the Great Depression has had a more detrimental effect on families' economies than Obamacare has had. And
you're right, and I'm frustrated when they say he helped us deter a deep depression, and I'm thinking, no, he didn't. He got us into a huge depression because no one knows how to undo this Obamacare, known as ACA, Affordable. I don't even understand. Affordable Care Act. That's what it is. Not affordable. I don't understand, especially for a big family. And there are people leaving my husband's work in Groves, and he's saying, "Hey, if you find a good paying networking job out here, please call me," because it's insane. Everyone is frustrated. If you don't have something that's already, I already told you this. I don't know, like, what is it? Heart. They're even covering weight, diabetes, and something else. If you don't have those, kidneys. If you don't have any of those pre-existing conditions or cancer, then they can't help you. They just do preventative maintenance stuff.
Yeah.
And so we're like, well, what about epilepsy? That needs preventative maintenance, but they don't care.
Well, and the bottom line is this, too. Employers can't afford it. And so they're restructuring things so that they don't hire people full time because they cannot offer a benefits package that anybody can afford. They can't afford it. The employees can't afford it. It has the price of premiums and the hiking up of deductibles and all of these things all together have made it. I mean, people are having now literally. They're having to choose between, paying their utility bills or going to the doctor when they get sick. I mean, there are people out there right now that don't know how they're going to do either. And you see this happening in slow motion. It's almost. We saw this coming. The year that Barack Obama took office, we saw it coming a mile away. And we told everybody we knew, this is going to destroy the healthcare system. And that's exactly what it's designed to do. It is designed to force everybody into a single-payer system. And the fact that the Republicans in the Senate and the House could not unify behind repealing the Obama Affordable Care Act, it speaks to the fact that these people simply allowed themselves they made themselves prostitutes in the political sense, that they were not going to do what they'd been mandated to do by the voters. Instead, they chose to do what was going to be best for them personally because they're not covered by the Obamacare rules. And the American people, I mean, everybody needs to be involved in the effort to impose term limits on these people because there is no way that these people are ever going to impose term limits on themselves. It's just not going to happen.
Well, what do you think is the best way to undo Obamacare? How do you undo this?
To undo Obamacare? Oh, boy, that's tough. I think that the way to do it is to just put it back in the hands of the people. Put it back in the hands of the American people. And let's go back to the days before there was an Affordable Care Act, when everybody relied on private insurance. And the best way to do this, if you want to issue somebody tax credits for buying an insurance policy in the private sector, I can see doing that. But the other thing you have to do is you have to lift all these restrictions so that people can shop around for the best deals. Make the insurance companies compete for business. And it'll work out just like the free market always does. You know what the price of a loaf of bread is today?
$2.19. I'm guessing.
No, the price of a loaf of bread, my dear Jen, is what the consumers are willing to pay for it.
Oh.
The price of a loaf of bread is whatever the consumers are willing to pay for it. And if the consumers are smart and shop around, they're going to pay less. It's the exact same thing with health insurance. And if you allow small companies to pool together their resources so that they can get a better group policy for their employees, and you allow selling across state lines, you eliminate the monopolies that are developing and congealing around Obamacare. And, folks...
Okay, am I wrong?
I'm sorry, go ahead, Jen. Sorry.
No, it's okay. I just wanted to know how in the world are England and Canada offering this? Well, it's not, you don't even blink an eye at it. It's just a known thing. You become a citizen there and you're covered. Your health is covered.
Yeah, except that if you get sick, you die. Because they ration care. They ration care. There's no way they can't.
Oh.
If you're over the age of 60 and you get cancer, well, have a nice funeral.
Man.
I kid you not, folks. It's this is what they call actuaries doing their arithmetic and determining how long you get to live.
That's scary.
It is. It's very, very Orwellian.
It is.
Yeah. Well, Jen, I know it's going to be a great Christmas at the Woodruff household because you all have the Christmas spirit. And
yes, it will.
and whatever you do, make sure that you clearly mark the outhouse so that Santa knows it's not a chimney.
Yeah,
that was hilarious.
That's funny.
That was hilarious.
It is.
Well, Jen, have a wonderful day. I've got another caller on the line. And
okay, you too. Thank you.
God bless you all. Take care. We'll talk soon. All right, let's go to, I believe we have Terry back. Hello, Terry.
Hello again, JJ.
How you doing?
I'm good. I got a bright glimmer of hope for you. So I said, do you know there is over 4,000 sealed indictments in federal courts right now that over 90% of them have come about since Halloween?
I did not know that. Sealed indictments?
Yes, sir.
I wonder
Sealed indictments.
I wonder who they are aimed at.
Last actual number I seen was 4,382.
Wow.
Sealed indictments.
That's impressive.
Coming from our that's the storm that's coming.
That's impressive.
So just as long as we have patience, I believe we're going to see something come about that's going to make crying and gnashing of teeth from the folks on the left and some folks on the right, down to the rhinos. And look at how many congressmen and senators have chose to not run for re-election.
That's right. They probably have been given a courtesy call saying, "Oh, by the way, if you run for re-election, then we're not going to be able to keep this sealed much longer."
And I was hypercritical on Sessions because we haven't seen any action. I mean, what's the Justice Department doing? And one of the questions I was posted on, I said, how do you convict an elite or someone very high level in power? You have to collect absolute unadulterated proof. You can't give them a technicality of any kind to weasel their way out, or else their high-priced lawyers will do it.
Back in the day of frontier justice, the wheels turned a lot faster than they do today. And
agreed.
This litigious society that we live in today, it favors the rich. It favors the people that know who to pay off, and if they have the means to pay somebody off, I mean, you look at it and you say to yourself, I mean, what choice, what chance do the American people have when the deck is stacked against them like it is?
Well, it was reported on another show earlier today, don't I say that Flynn copped the deal because he's literally run out of money to pay lawyers, and the pressure they've been putting on his brother and his son through the FBI over this whole investigation. And
now you watch. If
I could fully understand that. Getting defended today is a game of the wealthy with attorneys at $100+ an hour.
If Flynn is, if anything that Flynn gives the prosecutor's office leads to an indictment of one of the higher-ups in the Trump administration, then you can bet your bottom dollar that the next thing that Michael Flynn is going to do is he's going to write a tell-all book, and he's going to make his millions right there. Because that's how it works. You get a book deal, and all of a sudden, if you got a book deal, then that means you're in good with the left.
Well, that's only if you're favored by the left. Like Hillary,
well, no. If you do a favor, if you give them a favor like an indictment against the Trump administration, they'll reward you for it. It'll be a quid pro quo. I mean, at least that's how I. Maybe I'm too cynical. Am I too cynical?
Well, I think it's possible because Flynn was appointed by the Obama administration, and he was a holdover into the Trump administration. But I believe in my heart that Flynn was a good man. When you'll do what you need to do to keep your job, even though you don't always agree with what your superiors tell you.
I agree. That's human nature.
And the word was, one of the reasons Flynn was run out is because his meeting with the Russians provided him with a list of a pedophile list, an elite pedophile list of names.
Wow.
That's what I've read elsewhere.
Stay tuned.
That was the reason why Flynn was run out, because he wanted to crack down on the pedophilia that's been running rampant the last 8 years. And there's been don't quote me on it, I think there's been like 4,000 pedophile arrests this year alone.
Wow.
So, it's gone around the nation.
I tell you what, that's the biggest threat to the Democrats is right there, is their sliding scale of morality. It's basically like a noose around their necks because it incriminates them. And Terry, I hate to do it, but we're out of time, my friend. I thank you for joining us today. Thanks for the call. It's great to talk to you, and let's talk again soon.
Have a wonderful day, and a Merry Christmas if I don't talk to you.
All right, thank you, Terry. Merry Christmas. Bye-bye. All right, my friends, we have once again reached the end of our broadcast week. I do appreciate all of you being there, and the mountain in front of us, that mountain that the left tries to make you think is insurmountable, I look at it like Sir Edmund Hillary looked at Everest. I don't care what they say we can't do. There's only one limit on what we can do. And that limit is the limit that we put on ourselves. I believe that the moral imperative in the year 2017 and 2018 needs to be Americans that have had enough of the corruption, that have had enough of seeing our children sexually objectified and assaulted by people in power, whether it's in Hollywood or Washington or wherever. It's time for Americans to get their pitchforks out and their torches, and it's time for we the people to start administering some real pressure on the wheels of justice, because what we're seeing right now, folks, spells the end of America as we know it if we don't stand up against it together. And I sure as heck hope everybody out there has the courage of those convictions. All right, be good to yourselves, and if you possibly can, be good to someone else. And remember, we'll win in the end because there are more of us than there are of them, because God is with us, and because we are all in this thing together. We'll see you on Monday. My guest Mondays, pastor and author Carl Gallups, will be here. We hope you will too. Have a good weekend, everybody. God bless, and yes, Merry Christmas, everyone. Bye-bye.